Maria Espinosa, she is the founder of the Remembrance Project. The Remembrance Project was created in 2009 to honor and remember Americans who have been killed by illegal aliens. The Remembrance Project educates, raises awareness, and conducts outreach in order to support and protect Americans and their families' well-being and safety through upholding U.S. laws and following the Constitution. Wow, that's getting more and more difficult to find people who do that these days. And Maria has joined us live via Skype. Maria, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mike. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show.
Well, it's our pleasure, Maria. I'm looking at an article here. Sheriff Joe is in the news today saying that 40% of people turned over to ICE end up back in his prisons. Wouldn't it be accurate to say that the ones that don't get caught, they are just as much of a problem?
Oh, absolutely they are. And, when you have a system that is not upholding laws and it's endangering American lives every single day, we have a huge problem on our hands, and it's up to your listeners and your Americans to get off their sofas and make some noise and speak up and let their legislators know, let the sheriff's department, police, and mayor all know that they want protection.
What's going on now? We've seen a lot of activity in the news lately. Some coverage about some events in America now with this whole deal out of San Francisco, an illegal alien who was deported. How many times? 5 times. He was still able to make it to San Francisco and commit a heinous atrocity against a young lady was shot to death on a pier there.
Yes, a terrible, terrible tragedy, and yes, that. The killer had been deported 5 times, and he actually had 7 felonies on his record. And it's a senseless, unnecessary killing, completely preventable, and because that man should not have been in the country to begin with. Now, that happened in San Francisco, where in 2010, the father and his 2 sons, the Bologna family, was executed. They were killed, a case of mistaken identity, and the widow speaks out as well. But this happened in San Francisco, and they still have a sanctuary city policy.
Yeah.
We are moving to try to remove that by calling a boycott on San Francisco, and you can see that on our website. We just want people to sign the petition and send San Francisco a message. And I'll go ahead and give our website. It's theremembranceproject.org, theremembranceproject.org.
Okay, give us some other examples. Oh, by the way, let me just ask, you have a Latino name. Are you a legal immigrant, or are you the child of legal immigrants, or what's going on there?
Yes, I'm first generation, Mike, and thank you for asking that question. My father was born in Mexico, and he immigrated the right way here years ago, decades ago. He had 7 children. He and mom's a Texan, raised us with a lot of hard work and love of America and honor our flag. He never waved that Mexican flag once he became a U.S. citizen, and that's how we were raised. And I guess that's why, looking at things taking place in this wonderful country of ours, I felt compelled to do something in order to save the America that, you and I both know and were raised to know and love. So, yes, I was out in the strawberry fields picking strawberries, Mike. We had a distant cousin who worked for a strawberry farmer, and we worked right alongside the Mexican crew, the migrant farmers. So I get people wanting a better life, but it has to be the right way. Otherwise, you never learn what it is to be an American and to value America and really appreciate your allegiance has to be to this country.
So this must really enrage you when you see millions of Mexicans coming up here illegally without the benefit of having a love of country. Really, it's just for the money, essentially, right? So they're sending it back to Mexico to their families there.
Yes, there's a lot of different reasons people come, and of course we know now that the OTMs, or other than Mexican,
Right.
has the number coming over illegally has outnumbered the actual Mexicans who come over. It's very, yes, it's frustrating, and I'm mostly very angered, Mike, at the mainstream media who are to blame for not covering and not reporting and doing their journalist duties. You know, they're to blame for not telling the American people what's taking place. And plus, those Hispanic legislators or anyone who thinks that upholding immigration laws is racist. That's absolutely wrong, and that's more offensive than anything, because they know better, and they're trying to pull the race card in order to drive a wedge between all Americans, and that simply isn't right. And that leads kind of segue into why our new initiative called America First, which was created in order to push back that race card and tell the truth.
People are now starting to pay more attention to this after the tragic events in San Francisco came to the forefront here. But there are many other cases, aren't there? Do you have any available there?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, this killings of Americans by people who should not have been in the country to begin with is nationwide. It does not matter which state you're in. Everyone is affected, because when they come through the border, they don't stay in Texas, California, Arizona, or even Michigan. We have several borders, but the most porous and where we get the number from is the southern border. So it's a problem nationwide, Mike, and that leads me to another initiative where you're really helping me out here.
All right, let's do it.
We have the Stolen Lives Quilt Project, and that is 6-foot-long banners by 3 feet tall. They're digitally printed on flag-like material, and we print the faces and names and the dates the victim was killed on 3 individuals on each 6-foot-long banner. It's in color. We put their name, manner in which they were killed, the date, a little note sometimes from the family if we can get to them before we print. And this is a way we connect the dots. If, let's say, I'm in Houston, Texas, we don't always hear what's going on in Dallas, or a killing by an illegal alien in Galveston just south of here. So we use those Stolen Lives Quilt banners to connect the dots for the public, and we take them to meetings, town halls, city council meetings where there's public testimony at times. Legislators, we display them in rallies as well, so that people will know the carnage and the high price that Americans are having to pay for the killings of their loved ones right here on American soil.
What happened in Galveston, Maria? We're speaking with Maria Espinosa. She is the founder of the Remembrance Project, and her website is theremembranceproject.org. Tell us what happened in Galveston.
Yeah, well, let's take Houston, because Galveston, I just used that as an example, but I have several incidents that I can, I work with the families closely with some, and let's say in Houston, January 31st, there was a young man by the name of Spencer Golvach. That's Golvach, if anyone wants to look it up. And he was a 25-year-old musician. He was also an entrepreneur. He employed 9 people, Mike. So he was living the American dream and working toward that, American dream. And he actually took an extra job in a warehouse so that he would be sure to meet his payroll for his guitar shop. He was sitting at a traffic light after going to dinner with his girlfriend, and an illegal alien pulled up alongside his truck and shot him in the head. No reason, random shooting. That same illegal, Mike, went down the street and shot another man and killed him. He shot another couple. They survived. And when the sheriff's deputy caught up to him, he resisted, and they shot him. They had a shootout there, and they killed him. And that's just one example. And you take that life out of our society, Mike, and look what we have. A young man just working hard, entrepreneur, very active, and also with helping people, his community. Now, this is what we're taking out of the community. And Texas alone, just north of here, there was a husband and wife on their way to work. He was a volunteer firefighter, killed both mom and dad, left 2 children, young children, orphaned. Right before that, a young lady, a mother of 2, Crystal Nuncio, killed by illegal aliens. You might have heard Grant Ronnebeck, the young 21-year-old clerk who had worked for Quick Trip stores for 4.5 years. He was an assistant manager, been there since he was 16 years old, working hard, again, active in the community, volunteered. He was shot in the face by an illegal alien over a pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
The list is long. Joshua Wilkerson, just south of here, his classmate, who was an acquaintance of his, beat him up, hit him so hard with a closet rod that it broke 4 times, kicked him in the stomach, and the killer was a 3rd degree in martial arts, a black belt, I imagine. That's what it's called, a black belt. And kicked him so hard it split his liver in 2, and with his spine. He choked him over and over, torturing poor Joshua, tied him up, put him in the back of his truck, drove him into a field, and set his body on fire. After killing Joshua and torturing him, he went to a movie with his friend, and as they laughed and ate popcorn and drank soda. This is horrific. And again, the sanctuary city policies are so much to blame in these instances. They're in and out of our jails, and they don't turn them over to ICE so they can be deported where they belong.
Well, and this person that did tortured and killed that young person was an illegal.
Yes.
Was in the United
Yes.
States illegally. I mean, let's just call a spade here. These people are here
Yes.
illegally. They are committing heinous acts against American citizens, and it's time for people to generate a little holy rage, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And, it angers me that the man, Hermelio Morales, who killed Joshua Wilkerson, he was in front of a judge in our court system on another matter. He was harassing his girlfriend and chased her down some boulevard at 90 miles an hour and chased her into a school where she ran in for shelter. He was standing in front of a judge in that case 10 days before he killed Joshua Wilkerson. If they had detained him, deported him, Joshua would be alive today.
Is America being invaded? I mean, when I hear all of this, I keep thinking
Absolutely.
that America is being invaded by foreigners who are killing Americans, and the current administration in the White House is allowing it, letting it happen, and some might even say encouraging it.
Absolutely encouraging it, Mike. And I can tell you that last year, I personally met with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson. And in that meeting, I asked Border Patrol Agent Brian Terry's mother and his brother to join me. And after that meeting, let me back up. With Jay Johnson, I read him a letter that I had drafted with some of the families, one-pager, simply reminding him that the Homeland Security, needs to do his job, which is the sole purpose of his department's creation was to secure the homeland. And I also had a sort of rhetorical question for him from Mrs. Ruiz, whose daughter, Felicia Ruiz, was stabbed over 39 times. Her killer is still free somewhere in Venezuela, free to marry and free to have 2 daughters of his own. So Mrs. Ruiz is told. So, and his response to that, Mike, you wouldn't believe. He said, "I am not here to be interrogated by you." So, approached with these terrible stories from Brian Terry's family, from Jamil Shah's story that I told him as well, and I was wearing the Jamil Shah's button, a young man who was gunned down because he was black in L.A., and this is his response. The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, who we are supposed to have faith in that they're doing the right thing and protecting Americans in America, and they simply are not. And I took away from that meeting, as well as a meeting with Eric Holder a few hours after that, it's more important than ever. It's very evident to us that they're absolutely not going to do anything.
Well, what would you like to see them do? You are orchestrating, organizing, trying to get an event underway in Washington to highlight all of the horrible suffering that these families are going through. You have got something going on that you'd like to share with us, right?
What we're doing is we are taking some family members to Washington, D.C. next week, and they will be meeting with some legislators and leadership and be able to share the tragedies, stories, incidents, whatever you want to call them, because they're really not stories, and they are terrible tragedies. So we're hoping to keep this in the limelight and try to put an end to sanctuary city policies all over the United States. And once we return from Washington, we will be trying to implement focused campaigns, and starting with Texas, going after each city that is a sanctuary city. And you don't have, the cities will tell you they're not a sanctuary city, but they have a sanctuary city policy.
Right.
It's all semantics here. So yes, that's our goal. And right now, people like you who are helping get the information out there about sanctuary city policy is very important, because as you know, the mainstream media does not tell the stories. And in fact, when Mr. Trump met with our families in LA on Friday, Lupe Moreno really told the truth and chastised the media that was there reporting and filming them, that they're to blame. They blame them because they had the responsibility to spread the word and spread the truth, and they simply sat on these stories and lied about it. So that's another, we call a pattern of abuse that our families, after their loved one has been killed. And remember, the Remembrance Project only handles at this time those who were killed by illegal aliens, and the death is where we concentrate because it's the most egregious. We will be moving toward also gathering information from the public of whoever has been harmed by an illegal alien. So we want to be able to bring all this to the forefront, and that way we'll be a lot stronger, Mike, in reaching out to these legislators and letting them know exactly the cost, and letting them know that illegal immigration is not a victimless crime like they would have you believe.
Well, and this all brings us back to this invasion. I mean, this is an invasion against the United States of America, and to serve and protect seems to have taken on a whole brand new meaning in these sanctuary cities, where to serve and protect seems to only apply to people who are in the country illegally. I mean, it just breaks my heart to listen to all of this. I mean, where is the law enforcement? I mean, hey, let's face it, Joe Arpaio, he's down in Phoenix, he's doing the best he can, but he's just one man, he can't stop it all, and he's constantly under fire from the Justice Department. There's one lawsuit after another against him, and all he's doing is being a patriot, trying to protect his country from an invasion, and he's labeled all manner of vile names for doing so. I mean, why is this happening? Has the country lost its mind collectively?
Well, let's look at this. This has gone on for decades. It's not something that just arose. It's something that's gone on for decades, and the political correctness has been out there for some time as well. So right now the country is ripe for invasion. The country is ripe for saying illegal immigration. The country is ripe for providing and allowing or giving. We give illegal aliens civil rights when they're not citizens. What they actually have are human rights.
Right.
So and that happened over several decades. And I spoke with a law school professor who said that's exactly right, because we were having a discussion with another couple, and I said no, they did not have civil rights. We as Americans and the political correctness took over, and we gave it to them just by simply just giving in, giving up, looking the other way, and not standing up. Or maybe it's even that guilt that the other side sometimes is effective on the public. I know I've worked for everything. I'm not guilty. I don't feel guilty for working my tail off for what little I have. Do Americans work hard? Yes, we are the hardest working people on the planet. We are the hardest working people, Mike. You ask anyone here, we do work, and that work has obviously produced this America that we love. Not everyone's on the same socioeconomic level, but this is the place for the American dream to happen. And I believe that if the other countries now, this is too simple, Mike, if other countries like what we have here, that they should take that formula to their country. No way can America sustain the illegal alien crossings, the invasion that's going on right now. I saw an article, and I wish I had saved it or bookmarked it. It took a poll somehow, the population, the rest of the world's population, and evidently, and I don't know how they did that, 80% people from other countries said they would move to America if they had the opportunity. So if we leave our borders open like they are now, we're getting a flood of people coming in every single day by the busloads, and we have footage that they are bringing them, as we speak, by the busloads.
Well, and I've seen those buses personally down at the border, down around Laredo and that area, and I'm telling you, this is true what you're saying. How do you feel about the tens of thousands of Muslim refugees coming to the country now? I mean, we're seeing if you wanted to destroy a country, and you could make your way up into the office of president of said country. And when we look at Barack Obama's policies, would they not fit into the mold of someone who is trying to, on purpose, destroy his own country?
Oh, it's absolutely deliberate. It's deliberate. I mean, all we have to do, Mike, is look at the results. And this is what's taking place right now. No matter what words are spoken, yes, I want to secure the border. Well, you're not doing it. So, if we had a child, Mike, our children, well, I wanted to clean my room, Mommy, but you know what? Little Johnny, you didn't do it. So evidently you didn't want to do it. It's deliberate. We throw common sense out the window, it seems like, Mike.
Well, experts have likened liberalism to a mental disorder. The dictionary defines liberalism as a mental disorder, and many experts say that people who espouse the liberal mindset are nothing more than little babies in adult bodies. And you have really given us another reason to believe that. I mean, these people, they are tasked with a job. They have been told time and time again by their bosses, which is the American people, please do your job or we're going to give you a spanking. I don't know. What does that spanking need to look like? I don't know. I mean, how do you spank the president? I mean, I don't know how that looks. How does that look?
You're right. It's pretty scary. We have, as you know, I'm sure politicians blatantly saying that to the people, well, what are you going to do about it? After voting a way that's opposite of what the people want and have voiced their opinions, and that legislator turns to the people and says, well, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
What are we going to do about it, Mike? You know, and I say this, there has to be a bit of civil disobediency. We have, and I want your listeners to ask themselves this, have you visited your legislators? Have you written them? Have you emailed them and called them? And the answer to all that is yes. So now we have to take it to the next level, which I am looking forward to do this. If I could just get some home addresses, I'm going to go to some of these legislators in Texas. We have a very liberal Speaker of the House by the name of Joe Strauss. And he is over assigning all these committee chairmen. And you know, if there's a committee chairman who does not want a good piece of legislation to go through, it's going to die in committee, period. So no matter if my personal representative has filed some good legislation, if he voted to keep that speaker in his position, well, he just outvoted his piece of legislation. Is never going anywhere. So I'm going to go in front of his house with some signs that tell his neighbors and his family what kind of rascal he is. This is where we are today. We have no other recourse, Mike, of what to do. We have to wait 2 years, some of them, 6 years to get out of office, and they've lied to us. It doesn't make any sense to me. The common sense, again, where's the common sense? Where's the professionalism, Mike? Their duties are to their own wallets. Special interests, They keep them in office, and they get treated like royalty. In some cases now, probably not so much. But, so we have to be able to think outside the box and keep pressing them.
Well, you're taking it to Washington. We're all proud of you. You're going to get up in their grill and demand that they start taking this problem seriously, because America is being invaded. Not is going to be invaded, is being invaded by people who do not belong in the country. They have crossed in illegally. They are illegal. They don't belong. Illegal used to mean something, didn't it?
Yes, you're right. And our trip to Washington, I would like to ask your listeners for any help and donations that they can make. All this costs money. I've done this for right up to 6 years, completely no pay. As you know, conservatives are so dedicated and all, but we still have to eat.
Right.
So I just ask for any donations. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so it is tax deductible, and we're just trying to get to Washington next week.
And people can donate. Go to theremembranceproject.org. They can donate to your cause there, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, it was a great pleasure to hear from you, and we are all very proud of you for everything that you're doing, Maria. It was a great pleasure speaking with you.
Well, Mike, thank you for what you're doing. It gives our families a platform and a voice, and it's very important. So keep up the good work, and we appreciate it, and thank you for reaching out. God bless you.
Maria Espinosa, everybody, theremembranceproject.org. Check it out, donate, and support. My name is Mike Shoesmith. We'll talk to you next time.